Neil, I mean, some people might say that you're bluffing here if you're calling African tourism the real winner here, given that no African team is currently being represented in Russia. But explain your rationale.
Well, Fifi, thank you for having me on the show today. Africa has already won. To be honest with you, we've been on this global stage now for the last couple of weeks. The countries did exceptionally well in terms of their ability against the rest of the world. So from a tourism point of view, how can that relate back to the continent? We've already put our best foot forward. We can put, from a tourism point of view, a lot out there to the world. And the world has paid attention over the last couple of weeks to the African soccer teams that have participated. Like you said, it's unfortunate that we're out right now.
I mean, Neil, have you seen any concrete evidence from your part that participating in global events like the World Cup actually translate into tourists coming into the continent? Perhaps from previous World Cups, it's the 2006 or 2010, 2014. Oh, I'm just exposing the fact that I'm not a soccer fanatic here. But from previous World Cups, have you seen an experience of tourists trickling into the continent?
So with the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, we expected a lot more after the World Cup. Everyone refers to the South African experience after the World Cup finished as the hangover effect. But sort of once that had left us, we did see a marked improvement in tourism in South Africa once again. And I think just coming back, if we go sort of to grassroots level for the rest of the African continent, we really need to portray as an African continent a little bit more stability in terms of our markets and safety in the countries that we are visiting or that people will be visiting. Dependability as well in terms of service and the consistency of that to our international guests, because that's what they expect when they arrive in the country. And also from an investment point of view, we need to be a little bit more investor friendly. So making the ease of business in sort of the 54 countries of this beautiful continent of ours a little bit more easy for investors to actually participate within the country economics. And then productivity as well. You know, when we say we're going to deliver on something to our international investors and tourists and people visiting, we need to do that. So that's just sort of taking a step back and looking at what we need to do. And I mean, if we have a look at a case study of Rwanda, they're sort of the African poster children, if you want to call it that, in terms of their forward thinkingness with the Arsenal agreement that they just did. For those of you that don't know, they did a £30 million deal with the Arsenal Football Club in the UK to have Visit Rwanda on the left sleeve. And Rwanda already is not a small tourism market. Its market brings in $1 billion a year for the country. And we need to have more of these types of things happening on the continent in order to stimulate a lot more international interest to the continent. So Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, is now very much East African regional business tourism sort of hub where people are flocking in internationally and regionally for conferences. And together with that, there's obviously the tourism aspect, because they come a couple of days earlier or they leave a couple of days later, and they experience the country for what it's worth.
I mean, talking about stability there, I'd like to get your thoughts. Right now, there's a debate, or a discussion rather, regarding renaming a Cape Town International Airport. Some are saying that the name Cape Town International Airport carries quite a big brand overseas as it is, and renaming it might taint it. I mean, what's your view, particularly if we see a situation whereby, you know, we do have the airport being named Winnie Madikizela Mandela Airport as an example? I mean, do you think that this is something that could harm the kind of tourism we're trying to attract?
I don't think so. I don't think people are international people, and us in South Africa are as superficial as if it's called something, we're not going to visit there. I don't think that that's a major issue. I think that we need to get the service delivery correct. We need to get the airlift correct. We need to have the right partners flying in from wherever they need to fly in to bring people to Cape Town, if we're talking about Cape Town in particular. So no, I don't think that that will be a major issue. The brand Cape Town is strong enough to survive whatever we call the international airport. It will still be something that needs to be delivered by the airports company South Africa, and we need to have the right amount of international flights directly coming into Cape Town International as they are into our Tambo.